Time to make a video. Hello everyone, Kaiser here, and today I'm back with a new video, which is my custom Terry BOGARD from Fatal Fury. And as I'm sure all of you are aware, it is confirmed that Terry BOGARD will be playable in Super Smash Bros. And so in honor of one of my favorite fighting game characters getting into Smash, I thought I'd show off a custom figure that I did complete, but for some reason never made a video on. So with that, I'll get into a little bit of Terry's history. So if you're not a huge SNK fan, or just don't know much about Terry BOGARD appeared in SNK's first fighting game, which was Fatal Fury, where him and his brother also made their debut. And this line of fighting games would also be introduced into one of SNK's most famous fighting game series, King of Fighters. Now, if you're like me and didn't grow up around the time Fatal Fury came out, you probably know Terry BOGARD from King of Fighters. And I have to be honest, he was one of my favorite characters since he reminded me a lot of Ken. Like, that's kind of a common joke when it comes to Terry and Ken, just how similar they are. But still, out of all the fighting games I only have 4 SNK fighting games, which is King of Fighters 13, 14, 95, and technically Capcom vs. SNK. And every time I play them, most of the time I'm going to choose Terry as one of my main characters. So yeah, I do like Terry, and for a long time I did want to make a figure of him. And so, I want to say a year ago I did. But since I wasn't that good at the time, at least not as good as I am now, there were a lot of problems that I had with the figure. But in recent years, I have made him a lot better, and I want to show him off in honor of him getting into Smash Bros. So with that, let's show off the figure. And here we have Terry BOGARD, and I have to say, this came out a lot better than I expected, because while this is a fairly simple figure to make, because I'm kind of dumb, there were a lot of mistakes that I made along the way, but he's here, and I like how he looks, so let's get into it. Starting with the head, you can see that all I really did was repaint the face, or at least the eyes. And that was fairly simple to do. I should mention that this is made from a WWE John Cena body. So there's that. One thing I wanted to do with this figure was having a removable hat with the hair still there. So I tried it and it turned out pretty well. As you can see, that's the hair. It's definitely not the best, but it doesn't look that bad. All I really did was sculpt over the existing hair, and for his ponytail, all I really did was take I can't remember what it was. I think it was like a piece of tissue paper, rolled it into kind of like a thin piece of something, I don't know, and I just glued it on the back of the figure. I also add the little hair tie piece that he has. I didn't add it to the front here, but I don't think it's going to bother me too much. I still think it looks good. For the hat, this was actually 3D printed, and I had to heavily mod it in order to fit over his head without looking too awkward. And I think I pulled that off pretty well. When it's on his head, it doesn't look too big. And if you want to, like in the games, you could kind of have him keep knocking it off. You can kind of have the hat covering his eyes. So I think that looks pretty cool. As for the figure itself, if you know anything about WWE figures, at least the ones made by Mattel, you know that they are not 6 inches, they are 7 inch. So compared to a Marvel Legends like this, you can see that even though he is still pretty tall, if he was 7 inches, he would have been like up here. So that was something I wanted to fix. So what I did was, for the legs, I cut off a section of the upper legs and the lower legs and sculpted over it, but I'll get into that a little bit later. I just wanted to show you that I did scale him down a bit in order to make him more of a Marvel Legends scale. Okay, so moving on to the vest. This is the same technique I use for my custom Natsu, which is pretty much taking a piece of paper and tape and folding it all around the torso in order to make a vest. I have to say it is a little wonky when you look at it, but for the most part, it's not too bad. I also added the star on his back, which is just a piece of cardboard. And I can't talk. I had a few pieces of clay in order to make like this kind of zipper and the pockets. For the arms, the only problem with this arm in particular is that there's a bit of bleeding. I don't know where that's from, but all I know is that it's hard for it to come out. I'm gonna try, but that's just one annoying part of it. The arms are pretty much unchanged except for the hands. All I really did was have a piece of tape for the glove and then painted the hands in order to get that fingerless glove look. For the legs, like I said, I did shorten them in order for it to get into a 6-inch scale. That was pretty much like the only part I had to like cut off. This part is pretty much the same except painted a different color. And after I sculpted over the cuts, I pretty much painted the same color in order to get that, I want to say that kind of like blue jacket jean look. I don't know. For the shoes, those are pretty much the same except I repainted them, and that's pretty much it. But like I said, it is a fairly simple figure to make. It's just that back then when I made this, I didn't know much, so there were a lot of mistakes that I made, but I learned from them and I am happy with what I got now. So when it comes to the articulation on this figure, it's actually pretty good. Starting with the head, it can move up that far and down that far, and it can go side to side. The arms can go out that far, forward and back, pretty much a full 360. He has a bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, a wrist swivel, and a hinge. He has an ab crunch that can move that far forward and really far back. He has a waist. His legs can go that far forward, not so much back. He has a double jointed knee, an ankle swivel, and a bit of a pivot. So the articulation's actually pretty good on this guy. You can get him into some fairly good poses, especially some of his iconic moves. So I say that's a pretty big win for this figure. So when it comes to the height of the figure and how he scales with other figures I have, I think it works out pretty well. I don't have a lot of fighting game characters, but I do have my custom Blanca, which is a Street Fighter character. I think he fits pretty well there. Here he is standing next to some other Super Smash Bros. Characters, since, you know, he's going to be in the game. A few other 6-inch figures I have. And for another blonde-haired character, here he is next to my custom Simon Belmont. And that is my custom Terry Bogard figure. And I have to say, I really like how this one came out. I honestly thought that it would take longer for me to make, especially back then. But as of now, I am happy with how this came out, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. I hope you enjoyed the video. I do want to say one thing. The main phone that I post videos with is not working right now, so I am using a backup phone I have. So I will try to get some videos out as soon as I can. I do have a few reviews of figures I have that I need to get to, so I'll try to do that tomorrow. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.